Rev up your engines. Okay, today I got a car they don't make anymore, the Lincoln MKZ. Lincoln sold originally 40,000 of them every year, but then it got down to 20, and the last year they sold like 12,000. They just decided not to sell them anymore in the United States. Now realize the ones we got in the States were all made in Mexico. Number 3 means Mexico. And even though they don't sell them in the United States anymore, what they did was they dropped the MK and they sell them as Zs in China, but they're made in China too. So now they still sell them, but they sell them in China, they don't sell them here. The thing is, in the United States, people have gone gaga for SUVs, and sedans just didn't cut the mustard in the United States for a lot of reasons, but the main reason that Ford, GM, Chrysler doesn't make them anymore is because the Japanese did such a better job. They ate their lunch. They're still selling sedans. You see Honda Accords, Toyota Camrys, Lexuses, hey, they still sell them because they ate the American car manufacturers up alive. The quality was better. The cost was less. And so they don't really sell sedans in the United States anymore. They figured SUVs. We're going to make our money with SUVs, right? But this particular sedan has nothing wrong. Even though it was made in Mexico, he's got like 115,000 on it, and he's never had any major problems with the thing. It's a beautiful looking sedan. He can get 28 miles a gallon on the highway. Not bad for a big luxurious car, right? But they just couldn't compete with what the Japanese were making, and they just gave up. They don't want to make them anymore. Look under the hood. See, the Lincolns used to have hydraulics on them or springs. Now they got a rod. They've even cheapened that up, right? Naturally aspirated V6 engine. It is actually a very good engine. They really don't need turbocharging and all that stuff, right? This is a good engine that can go a long distance. He's had no problems with it. It still runs perfectly fine. But of course, all the engineers are into so much technology. Now what are they putting in? They're putting little 4-cylinder engines with gasoline direct injections, 1,000 or more PSI. Some of them have twin turbochargers, not one turbocharger, but 2. Twice as many things to go wrong. That will break, right? This has none of that stuff on it, and as you see, 115,000+ miles. He hasn't had any problems with it yet because it is actually a pretty good design. And even though it's a Ford, the AC still works. He did have to change the manifold hose because it leaked, and they wouldn't fix it free under warranty, even though they should have, but it's still blowing plenty cold. Check out those wheels. They're still in excellent shape. It's a spiffy looking car. These are chrome clad. They bonded it on, but I gotta say, they did a good job bonding it on. It's hauled up pretty good. So we'll take a look inside. The leather's still looking good. As you can see, it's got 115,509 miles, and that's a combined city highway drive. It's more than a highway. That's the combined mileage. A real parking brake. Not this electronic stuff that's going to break down. It does have Microsoft Sync, but from my experience on these Fords, it doesn't sync all that well half the time. Oh, we got a little scan tool hooked up. Let's see how this thing is held up over time. Already detected it. We'll do a standalone diagnosis. Thread the VIN. It's an MKZ 4V engine, 3.5 liter automatic federal emission. So here we go, a fault scan. While we're doing it, hey, the inside's nice. Look how fast it scanned it quick. Now, there's 4 codes. We'll see if they mean anything. This 6-speed automatic, you can either put it in to drive, or you can shift it manually if you want. Now, it doesn't have paddle shifters like more modern ones because it's a luxury car. Most people are just going to put it in drive and go. First thing it says, the coolant thermostat is stuck open. It probably, see how it's running colder? So they need a thermostat, no big deal. Control says speaker number 6 isn't working, but it's got a bunch of other speakers. He's not complaining about the noise. It says that the climate control seat module voltage is out of range for the driver's dual climate control seat module. See here, you can heat it, the driver's seat. You can even cool it with air conditioning. They have little built-in wires that cool off. Seems to work okay, but hey, voltage out of range. Hey, maybe the battery is weak or something. The code is For the HVAC system, invalid data received from instrument panel cluster control module. The AC, the heat works, he doesn't care, so we really don't care. What we'll do is we'll turn it off, we'll turn it back on, and we'll erase them. They're gone, we'll start it back up, and we'll look at live data. All the live data, we'll start analyzing. Remember, black's good, red's bad. Let's just see what things look like here. So far, all the data looks good. Okay, airflow trimmed, not much. I mean, look at this. Minus 0.01. So it's 1/100th of a percent off. That's nothing. Oxygen sensors are working right. They're going rich lean like they're supposed to. The other ones, rich lean just like they're supposed to. Fault in the heaters to the oxygen sensors. Injectors, all 6 of them have no faults. Flow is good. 3.7 liter engine. Look, 3.6, 3.7, really close. That's good. Full trim for the rear oxygen is almost perfect. 0 is perfect. It could be minus 10 to 10. It's still in range. It's almost perfect, and that shows that the catalytic converters are still working good, right? This says 2 cats on it. And if one was bad, you'd be able to look at that data and see, well, that one's bad, but the other one's okay. So you don't waste money and replace parts you don't need to. But in this case, it's fine. You don't have to change anything. Touch road test time. Interestingly, it looks like a newer car, but it doesn't have a backup camera because it is 11 years old. First thing I noticed, it's a very smooth car. That was the doors locking themselves. You feel safe in this thing. I mean, it just feels safe. May have been put together in Mexico 11 years ago, but hey, it's still solid, pretty quiet, and he really hasn't done anything to it other than putting a hose on the manifold for the air conditioning system. Engine, tranny's all original. That 6-speed tranny feels good now. We'll see what it does when we get the drag strip land. But I can't tell if the thermostat's stuck open because we've been sitting for a while and it still hasn't even gotten near half yet. And you can tell a lot of these are old man cars because that turn signal indicator is loud, baby. And the old people need them loud or they don't see them. You see them driving down the road with their turn signals on. At least with this, they're going to hear them clicking. And you got a better chance that they're going to turn it off when they're done turning. We go to our little drag strip. There's nobody behind us. Let's hit full gas in. Wow, it started to do a burnout until the traction control took it out. This is a fast car, let me tell you. Gets off fast. Let's say you want to pass somebody. We'll floor it. It goes. This is a quick car. Maybe 11 years old, 115,000 miles, but hey, it still picks them up and puts them down. Certainly a lot faster than this tractor we're going by. I do have to say it's a very comfortable car to drive around in. It's pretty much a luxury 4-door car that people like to drive around. They just don't make them because Ford wants to make SUVs. I guess there's more profit in them. Even though this thing was made in Mexico, it was pretty solid build. You didn't have any problems with it, and it's still cruising along like no tomorrow. And when you're coming to stop, it's got excellent 4-wheel disc brakes. The ABS system still works fine. Really, it's a nice, comfy car to drive around in. Now, this is a front-wheel drive car. Classic Lincolns, of course, are rear-wheel drive, but being a front-wheel drive car, it really handles the twisties better than an old-fashioned rear-wheel drive Lincoln. Front-wheel drive cars just inherently are going to handle curves and stuff better because cars pull better than they push. So if the front is pulling the car, you actually have more control than when you're pushing in the back. And especially when you're driving in the snow and the rain when you really need control. Now, surprisingly enough, it rode as good as my wife's Lexus. I am totally shocked. It's got the original struts and everything, still rides right. So does my wife's Lexus, and it's even older. It's a 2001, right? But it does need a thermostat. The owner kind of knew it because he had a scan tool, right? Supposedly somebody changed it, but he didn't see the old part. And here's what I'm going to tell you. These have these crazy plastic thermostat module housings. Go to the Ford dealer and buy the housing. Either put it on yourself or pay a mechanic. The labor's only like 1.4 hours, so they can't charge you a fortune. but I noticed the temperature gauge didn't even come close to halfway. It stayed down there. And you'll get a little bit better gas mileage with a hotter thermostat. The warmer your car runs, the more efficient it is at burning gasoline until it overheats and then it blows up. But that's another story. As long as the cooling system's working, running a little bit hotter is always better because it's more efficient. And this one is stuck open, so make sure you get the right one, get the whole thing, the whole module at the dealer, put it on yourself or pay somebody to put on it. So what do I say about this MKZ? It's a shame they don't make them like this anymore. No turbo, no GDI. It still runs smooth as can be. The transmission, 6-speed automatic, silky. It still looks good. In Mexico, they clad those things pretty good. Look how shiny it still is. The paint's not faded. Hey, they did a good job when they made these. I wonder what the Z's in China are like. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.